Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman, and I want to welcome you to a very holiday edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sit-Down. I got my Christmas Grogu on. I got my, well, I can't tell you what kind of Santa Claus hat I've got on because it would give away what I'm talking about. But before we get there, it is the holiday season, and if you're looking for gift giving, look right up there, man. That's a pretty dope little piece of art. It's called Movie Palette. Basically takes the average color from every single scene in the movie, lays it out chronologically, and then the width of the lines is based on how long the scene is. So you're literally looking at the entire Empire Strikes Back on one piece of canvas. And if you'd like to add that to your holiday collection or get a gift for a friend, you can get 15% off over at moviepalettes.com using my code SITDOWN15. All that information is down below if you want to hook up some of your friends with a nice piece of art for the holidays. But now, let's turn our attention to the real holiday reason we're here, man. We're getting a Christmas spirit and vibes on. We just watched the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special over on Disney Plus to get my Christmas things kicked off. If you want to see my reaction and all of the thoughts to that, it's all together. You can see it right there. But now we turn to technically the first Christmas thing I watched this year. I am a staunch defender of not doing Christmas things until after Thanksgiving. So I had a bunch of people who had already watched the holiday special. They're like, "Did you watch it?" I'm like, I will get there. I usually start my Christmas stuff in December. Give me 25 days of build-up, or 24 days of build-up, and then, deliver on the 25th. Anyway, I saw this movie back in October because Comic-Con. And man, I was blown away. This movie, I was mainly going for action. It's an 87 North production. Or an 87 North Productions production. Woo! That's the David Leitch and Chad Stahelski company. So I was here for the action. I was also here for the lead actor and David Harbour. But what I didn't know I was getting into was like a really, really, really good Christmas movie. You can't really take little kids to see this one. It's a hard R for a reason. But I promise you, if you have a grown-up family, you can take your family to this and walk out feeling the spirit and the meaning of Christmas like hitting you dead center in the chest. What am I talking about? Why don't you pull up a chair? Take a seat. We are getting ready to dive in, spoiler-free, into Violent Night. That is what I've been hiding on my hat. This is my my swag from Comic-Con. Everybody who got to watch Violent Night at Con got one of these hats. And my God, is this movie so freaking good. Like, it's one of these movies that, like, in some realms, like, I don't even know if it deserves to exist. It's a mashup of two of my favorite things: John Wick action and Santa Claus. And it didn't feel cheesy or over the top and absurd. Like, we've seen Santa get put into horror movies, stuff like Black Knight. That might be that might not be the right one. Black Christmas. There it is. Black Christmas. Krampus. We've seen things like this, and they don't tend to work. The only time I've really seen an out-of-the-box, like, adult Christmas movie work would be the Nelms boys. Ian and Esham Nelms. They did a movie called Fat Man, which is in my every year Christmas rotation now, as well as Violent Night. And they did similar things, right? They brought violence, and it was like a guns-toting Santa. This is a sledgehammer-wielding Santa. But they played with the idea in a different way, yet also delivered something that was really true to form as far as like a Christmas movie, and a really grounded, tangible feeling Santa Claus. And Violent Night does all of those things. I mean, to the point where, like, David Harbour has now supplanted Mel Gibson as, like, how I will vision Santa Claus for the rest of my life. That's what this movie did. Now, if you're unfamiliar with what Violent Night is, I actually wrote down 4 sentences to give you a full synopsis on this movie. That's nuts. I can't usually do things like that. So this is a movie about Santa on the outs, very similar to what the Nelms boys did with Mel Gibson. He's a Santa who is starting to not believe in himself because kids only want, like, cash and video games. So playing with that is fun, but he gets drunk, falls asleep in this mansion that he's at delivering toys to, and it's the grandmother's mansion of this little girl who is a still staunch true believer in Santa Claus. And said little girl's parents are separated, but they get back together for the holidays, and they're going to their dad's mom's house. for Christmas, hoping that her parents will get back together. And in the middle of all of that, John Leguizamo has a crew of robbers who show up to basically empty the safe that's supposed to have millions and millions and millions of dollars in it. And in the middle of this robbery, you have this family whose Christmas is being ruined, and a snoring Santa upstairs whose, spoiler, reindeers get spooked, which traps him in this house. And he ends up working with the little girl Trudy in a die-hard kind of fashion to try and stop the robbers that are doing the robbery, only one robbery, and save Christmas. And you get all the violence and the blood and all the things that you would expect from an 87 North production, while also getting a really true to form, hit you right in the chest, brings the emotions Christmas movie. Like, I walked out in October after seeing this movie feeling like Santa's real again. Like, it brought the belief back. And it was really shocking and impressive to see this movie do that. And it brings a lot of energy. It brings humor, which is something I really hadn't seen come out of 87 North before. And brings you a lead in David Harbour, who just leans in and takes it really seriously. It's the same thing that worked with Mel Gibson in Fat Man, where it's like, you could have had an actor who took this not seriously, but instead takes it wholeheartedly and feels really grounded. And all of that really is kudos to both the direction and the writing that's going on here. And we start with the directing. Our director, Tommy Wirkola. You might have heard that name if you're a fan of the international movies Dead Snow 1 and 2. I believe those are German-based. But basically, it's like Nazi zombies, and in a very cold world. Like, it's snow everywhere, so a lot of great stuff for blood. And one of these things where I see the director from Dead Snow, and I see this movie, and I go, yeah, I can see how you get there. But also the guy who did Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters, which is not a great movie, although I was wildly entertained at periods of time during... Like, I remember going to see that, walking out, going like, that wasn't great, but I don't feel like I wasted my time. Like, I had a good time while I was here. And that type of action level, with the idea of, like, stuff you could do with Dead Snow, I understand how this guy gets to this movie. And ironically, the way the world works, this isn't even out yet, but I know it's been getting really good word of mouth because of Khan and other people. Like, Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters 2 is now been announced. I have a feeling this has something to do with it. But what Tommy Wirkola does behind the camera, he really just understands how to blend. This movie is so much about blending, and what the script might be able to pull off doesn't always translate to screen. And Wirkola does a really good job, I think, of realizing Pat Casey and Josh Miller's script coming to life. And what you get is this really wonderful mashup of 87 North Productions John Wick level action with, like, comedy and hijinks at the same level as Home Alone. There is, I've seen this, I don't know if it was the Hollywood Reporter or one of the reviewers that you'll see, like, in the promos. It's like they said it's Die Hard meets Home Alone, and it very much is. I mean, with Santa Claus and this little girl Trudy, they communicate, spoilers, on a like a walkie-talkie. Lots of Die Hard vibes in that sense. But then with, like, how you're going about picking off the people in the house, you get a lot of Home Alone vibes. And Wirkola blends all of this stuff really well to the point that, like, when no action and no crazy stuff is going on, you're still really invested because, you know, the camera really can tell the story, right? And it brings you into your settings and into your characters in a way where, like, you really kind of get wrapped up with everybody that's on screen. I think it's the thing that Wirkola does the best, is he really props up his writers and his actors with what he delivers in the choreography and the setup of the different sequences, and how he can move in and out of this action and comedy and real life, like, Christmas storytelling. And I was just really impressed that Wirkola pulled all of this stuff off and really made it work. And the pacing is great. Like, all of the things that make this thing work starts at the top with what Wirkola is piecing together and laying out. And like I said, the pacing is good. This movie moves. It's a lot of fun. And I found in the past, like, movies that have this kind of action and this type of choreography, when it gets away from that, you get bored. You want to get back to it. Yet here, you're like, I want you're pulling me into this Christmas story, and I'm really digging it. And that's where Pat Casey and Josh Miller come in, just really, really delivering top-notch stuff from storytelling. And it's no surprise to me that this came from those two guys. And you might be going, who's Pat Casey and Josh Miller? See, man? Well, those are the guys who wrote the Sonic the Hedgehog movies. And they will be writing the third one. So, like, as far as being able to present a family-friendly script and story and something that connects, makes a ton of sense that these guys are behind that. But they also did a 4-episode TV miniseries I have not seen that I want to try to track down now, called 12 Deadly Nights. Sounds like like the poster is Santa Claus's, like, you can see his boots and it looks like they're being dragged through the snow. Sounds like they've played with the idea of twisting Christmas before, and maybe that's why I want to see this little miniseries, to see how that could have led to this and how this could have been an evolution or a level up. But you can totally see how it could be, and they really do a phenomenal job of turning Santa Claus into a freaking badass and having all of the stuff that you need to pull off these really awesome choreographed action sequences that involve sledgehammers or different things you can just find around the house, and have these real, like, fights with these robbers, and also build in this relationship with this little girl Trudy. She's our lone believer, so to speak, in the movie, right? Like, truly believes Santa Claus is real, and she gets to team up with Santa Claus. And how that team up happens, how it leads in, is some of the stuff I really love from the script. Like, that relationship is so good, and it's built so strong at the beginning. The execution to getting them working together and how they work together throughout the course of the movie is wonderful. And it's the anchor point that allows you to leave the action and the hijinks and the comedy, which I don't know if I've ever seen an 87 North Productions movie handle comedy and action so well. But it allows you to enjoy all of those things, because at the center of it is this really true to form Christmas story between this little girl and Santa Claus. And they don't see each other. It's all over, like, walkie-talkie. But it builds in this way where, like, you feel the Christmas spirit building the whole movie inside. And that relationship is so strong and is really the glue that holds everything together and allows you to break off into these places where John Leguizamo can just be chewing the scenery as this crazy mastermind named, he names himself Scrooge. But at the same time, like, you can have these really heartfelt moments with Santa Claus that mean stuff to a Christmas story, but also have him, like, breaking dudes' kneecaps with a sledgehammer. And how they from a script standpoint, go about dealing with this robbery situation. It's just that there's brilliant thing after brilliant thing after brilliant thing, and there's a lot of cleverness. While I think there are nods to things like Home Alone, like the staging and everything that happens is so clever. And it's the combination of what Wirkola can do visually with what these guys do from the script that really leads to something special. And when you add in the 87 North Productions stunt and choreography stuff, I mean, the action sequences in this movie are unbelievable. They're insane, man. I mean, the finale, like, you've seen some phenomenal hand-to-hand combat when we get into the actors. Like, the main henchman gets some really wonderful back-and-forth moments going up against this guy. And, I mean, the work with the sledgehammer and the choreography, and then you get to the end, and you're like, there's no way you can surprise a person anymore action-wise. And then you're like, I was wrong about everything in this movie. I mean, they really, really do some wonderful stuff, specifically in that third act when that guy gets his sledgehammer. And the last thing to talk about before we get to the score, to the cast, is the score. And the score here is wonderful, man. It makes you feel like Christmas, and it hits the vibes, and it uses needle drops where it needs to, and it brings in the bells and the orchestral Christmas sounds when you need it to. And this movie, while having the pickups and stuff for the action, there's some wonderful needle drops around some of the action in this movie. But all of it drives it in a way where you constantly never think you're watching anything other than a Christmas movie. It's the magic trick of this whole thing. And then it really, really, really comes down to this cast. I mean, all of those elements can be there, but if you don't have a cast that can make you believe what you're watching, it's not going to work. And that starts with David Harbour, who genuinely makes you think he is Santa Claus. I mean, specifically, like, here he doesn't have the glasses on, but, like, he's at a bar at the beginning of the movie, and he's got his Santa Claus glasses on, and he's just doing Santa Claus things. And it feels like a little bit of a nod to the bar scene from Fat Man with Mel Gibson, where he has a conversation, and you're just like, you listen to him talk, and you're just like, this guy is Santa Claus. And then, like, you see how he's dealing with being Santa Claus in this day and age, and I just feel like he's a kindred spirit, man, because I have issues with kids nowadays, man. I think that's a story for a different time. But I agree with Santa on a lot of levels. But there are kids who are true believers, and that's the thing that I love about the relationship that Harbour has with this little girl, Leah Brady, who plays Trudy, is... Yeah, you know what? Maybe there are a lot of shithead kids out there, but there are still the ones that believe, that bring that true Christmas spirit, and that's the stuff that can drive someone like Santa Claus. And seeing how Harbour handles that stuff, as well as his past, which allows him to, like, we get glimpses, and that, like, his past before being Santa Claus is what allows him to be what he is in this movie. And Harbour handles the action sequences phenomenally. I mean, he's a huge dude, and is a huge dude that deserves to play Santa. Like, it's one of the things I don't think I've ever gotten from a Santa Claus in a movie is, like, the stature. Like, he's a big guy, but he's a big guy. But he has this heart that is so warm and so on, where it's like, there are times where you're like, that's Santa Claus. Like, it's just so believable. And he's having so much fun. Like, the energy he brought onto the stage at Comic-Con just so translates to what he's bringing energy-wise here. And like I said, the relationship he has with Leah Brady, who plays Trudy, is phenomenal. This little girl is going to steal your heart. Like, she's a little girl, like, you just put her, like, if you made up, like, a more Christmassy poster, where the little girl is front and center, you'd be like, oh man, that little girl must be in, like, a Hallmark movie. Like, she is the perfect casting for what you need. She is, like, the truth of Christmas is all embodied in this little girl. And she captures it wonderfully while also dealing with some really heavy stuff, like her parents being separated, and, like, the fact that all she wants is to bring them back together, and that's not how the world works. And, like, she's kind of having to deal and learn all these things while being trapped in a very, very scary situation for a kid. Yet when the magic of Christmas starts to hit and she's able to contact Santa, all of a sudden, like, you start to see her having fun. And when she is having fun, like, there is a ode to Home Alone in this movie, and it involves Trudy and Santa, and what Trudy pulls off, it's so wonderful. And it's one of these where, like, easy for David Harbour to carry this movie, but this little girl, Leah Brady, carries it hand in hand with him, and really does match Harbour beat for beat in this movie. And it's that relationship and that go-between where you can slide back and forth to things that are going on, to things that aren't going on, to things going on and things not like that back and forth is what makes the movie work. And Leah Brady does a phenomenal job. I mean, some of the best little kid acting I've seen in a while, and she holds her own in a movie with, like, a presence like not only just David Harbour but Santa Claus, right? And she's wonderful. And you got Scrooge, John Leguizamo, the epitome of evil. He just feels like the kid who got burned and has had this grudge with a holiday. And how he goes about why he's doing what he's doing, and how he has to deal with Santa Claus is just, you can tell Leguizamo's having so much fun. And he's stated many times at con, like, this is a really, really violent movie. Like, it's crazy the level of violence. It is. He did not lie to that audience. But he is a wonderful counter to Harbour. And the way they play on screen with each other when they finally get to be on screen or start to interact with each other, again, gonna bring you some Die Hard vibes, but they really do play off each other quite well, and builds to a wonderful third act, you know what I mean? And that third act really has a lot of driving factors that come from his henchmen. Krampus is maybe my favorite of that group. He is he's the one who's kind of in charge of watching the family the majority of the film, and he is he's got a mouth on him. And there's a person inside the family that's got a mouth on them. And Krampus brings a lot of comedy, specifically with Trudy's cousin, Bert. Krampus played by Brendan Fletcher. Bert played by Alexander Elliott, who one of you guys told me in my reaction, like, right out the theater type bit, that he was in the Hardy Boys show. And I believe this is his film debut. And the two of them specifically together are phenomenal. There's some great back and forth. Krampus is an asshole, and he plays it in a way where you laugh every time he does something really dickish. And this kid Bert is also a little bit of a, like, he's a punk ass, basically. You know, this little snot-nosed kid that you're just like, he's the opposite of Trudy. So to watch him play off Krampus, a lot of fun to be had there. And then when you look at the other henchmen, being played by Mitra Suri, Sean Skeen, and Stephanie Sy. Skeen is kind of like the inside man, so to speak. He's a big dude. So there's some fun stuff for him action-wise. Definitely Mitra Suri, you're going to have some great stuff with her. Like really, really tremendous stuff. Like you have baddies in this movie that you enjoy when they're on screen, and then when they have to meet this guy, you enjoy it even more. And the same goes with Stephanie Sy. Like the way they use those main henchmen, and specifically Leguizamo throughout the movie, is just great. Brings a lot of hilarity, brings moments that get you to cheer. Yeah, that's the thing. This movie's very interactive with the audience, at least at Cannes. Hooting, hollering, people having fun. Like, that's what the movie is about, and a lot of that fun derives from that bad group. Then flip it to the family. You got Trudy's parents, Jason and Linda, played by Alex Hassel and Alexis Louder. Great stuff. Hassel, you're gonna be like this. You're gonna sway back and forth with this guy like a leaf in the wind. But he plays both sides of the coin quite well. And as you kind of dive in more to his story, it enlightens things about the overall story. And Alexis Louder was like a sneaky black sheep or dark horse standout for me in this movie. Like, she is great. She brings a lot of power, a lot of sincerity, a lot of motherhood. And her vibe is something that you can latch onto and kind of from the adult perspective ride with. And she popped for me. Like, she really, really did. Then you have Jason's mother, Gertrude Lightstone, played by the legendary Beverly D'Angelo. You might know her from the Vacation movies. She's wonderful. She plays hard-nosed bitch to a T. Like, you don't get the kind of money that this family has without a woman like that leading the charge. And D'Angelo has so much fun, and she's a character that's important in this movie, especially when you get into the emotional and the Christmassy stuff. And how that's revealed, I think, is a lot of fun for Gertrude. Then you have Jason's sister, Alva, and her husband, Morgan, who is played by Cam Gigandet. You would know him as Kevin from the OC, or I believe James from the Twilight series. He's a face that's very punchable, and I've seen him play guys that are likable and guys that aren't. There are likable elements that are kind of funny about his character, but he's someone that you want to punch in the face, and he plays it perfectly. The best way to describe, I think, Morgan is the fact that his last name on IMDb's credits is Lightstone, which is his wife's last name. Says all you need to know about that character. Alva, played by Eddie Patterson, great. She is another person who lays the comedy in, is definitely there for comic relief. And her standpoint and ditzy cluelessness really shines in this movie in ways that get a lot of laugh-out-loud moments. And then, as I said, you had Trudy's cousin, Bert, Alexander Elliott. He is a little shit, but he's great, specifically with how he plays off Krampus and things that go on there. But, I mean, this whole cast, and there's a lot of other people, right? There are other henchmen that are just there to be taken off the board. There's some other people out in play. But everybody that's brought into this movie, you can tell they're having fun. The cast is vibrant, and it's fascinating. And like I said, it's just a group that you can have a lot of fun with in this kind of movie. Yet all of them are able to bring the Christmas spirit to their performances, which really makes the ending of the movie hit. And when you have everything in a movie like this working this good, like, I was absolutely blown away with how much I like this movie. Like, I cannot wait to take my family to see Violent Nights, not Violent Nights, Violent Night, because it's just an absolute, like, holiday Christmas movie, man. Like, it's just true to form. Like, it's gotta be in the list it's gotta be in the rotation of Christmas movies every year now. And I'm so pumped to go see it again, because I had a blast at Comic-Con. I've been waiting to talk so much for so long with you guys about this, tell you all the goodies. Now that I've done it, let's get the C-Maniacs up. Let's give this bad boy a score. Like I said, this is a true-to-form Christmas movie, which I love, but it's also a true-to-form 87 North production action movie. The combination of the two, plus the blending of humor, is just genius. What you get from the script that comes from Pat Casey and Josh Miller is just so wonderfully executed by Tommy Wirkola and the stunt team and everything that's brought to life. Like, it's visualized wonderfully and brought to life in the most perfect way. The action in this movie is great. If you're a fan of those 87 North production movies, you're gonna love that stuff. But what's really awesome about this movie is when the action isn't hidden and you're just doing storytelling, it's fascinating. You're invested and you're pulled in and you're intrigued because all of it's been built that way. But then you have a cast that's just out of this world, led by David Harbour and this little girl, Leah Brady. It's such a fun team up. It's such a fun movie. The performances are great, and John Leguizamo really has a good time being the villain. Like, everything you could want in a Christmas movie is here. I mean, like I said, Die Hard meets Home Alone. Put them together with a little John Wick action and like throwing a little Year Without the Santa Claus, a little Fat Man in there too. Like a grounded, feels real Santa Claus in a really interesting scenario. Turns out to be a really great Christmas movie. 4.5 out of 5 C-Maniacs for the C-Man. This thing, c'est magnifique, as some might say out in the world, man. I had an absolute blast. So much I've been talking for forever about Violent Night. But I've been waiting a long time to talk about this movie because it's so much damn fun. But now I'm going to shut up, and I want to know what you guys are thinking. What, if anything, do you have to say about Violent Night? The movie hasn't come out yet, but I know that there's a pocket of people in New York City that were with me the night it did. So if you've seen it, keep it spoiler-free, but how much did you love Violent Night? If you did love it, hype it up, man. Tell these people that I'm not crazy and saying all the things that I'm saying. And if you somehow didn't like it, please enlighten me, because I can't find the things that are wrong in this movie anywhere. I mean, pacing, score, it's all there. So I definitely want to know what you guys are thinking if you've seen it. And if you haven't, how excited are you for David Harbour to be Santa Claus? To be Santa Claus in an 87 North Productions with some John Wick action. But know that when you walk out of the movie, you go, it wasn't just about the action. This is a good Christmas movie. Does that get you excited? What are you looking forward to? What have I gotten you pumped about? Or you just don't care? Maybe Santa Claus and Christmas ain't your thing. Anything you guys got me, good, bad, indifferent on Violent Night, goes down below in the comment section. Look forward to talking to you down there. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new, you want to come hang out with C-Man anytime to talk movies, TV, trailer, reactions, you want to be here as we approach the actual Christmas. We'll probably throw some Christmas movies on, some other things. I know Willow just dropped today. I'm definitely going to dive into the movie. I haven't watched the movie since I was a kid, so that'll kind of be like watching it for the first time. And then I can't wait to dive into the show. So you want to be here for anything like that. You just love what I'm bringing from my crazy, wild, nerdy vibes. You want to show a little love and support the old C-Man. Well, hey, come join C-Maniac Nation. It's super easy. All you gotta do is jump over there, hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell if you want those alerts. And if you want 15% off on a cool piece of art for a Christmas gift, head over to moviepalace.com, use Sitdown15. There it is. You'll get 15% off your order. It's a great gift. It's a great gift for yourself. Do that. Do all the other things we talked about. And until next time, for the C-Man Cinema Sit Down, I've been the C-Man. I'm signing off. Peace. Oh, you guys are still here. You snuck up on me. You must be looking for more of this guy. Well, I got 2 video options for you, man. Right up here and right over here. And if you want all those C-Man goodies, well, hey, come join the squad right on over there, and I'll catch you on the next one.